As China's economy continues to grow, the gap between the rich and the poor has only widened. The privileged class, once hidden in the shadows, has now become a glaring symbol of inequality, one that the public increasingly resents. Meanwhile, the government appears to be shielding the privileged class, reinforcing their power and influence. But how exactly are China's privileged few blocking the path for ordinary people? How are they constructing a seemingly unbreakable network of power and wealth? Welcome to mindgap. In this video, I'll use several shocking examples to illustrate how the powerful in China bend the rules to their advantage. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. In April 2025, Xiao Fei, the deputy chief physician of the Department of Thoracic Surgery at the Beijing Sino-Japanese Friendship Hospital, was reported by his wife for having an affair with multiple women during his marriage, which attracted widespread attention. One of his mistresses, Dong Xieying, a resident physician, was supposed to rotate to the Department of Spine Surgery. To maintain their relationship, Xiao used his influence to keep Dong in the Department of Thoracic Surgery for another month. What is even more outrageous is that Xiao once left an anesthetized patient on the operating table for 40 minutes, regardless of the patient's life safety. Why? Because Dong was criticized by a nurse for making a mistake during surgery, and Xiao decided to leave the operating room to argue with the nurse. Subsequently, Dong's personal experience was disclosed by her colleagues in the hospital. Dong Xieying graduated from Barnard College of Columbia University with a bachelor's degree in economics. Then, she completed her Doctor of Medicine degree through the 4+4 project of Peking Union Medical College Hospital and began her internship at the hospital. The 4+4 project is that the students who have completed 4 years of undergraduate study in non-medical majors at well-known universities can pass the screening process and enter Peking Union Medical College Hospital for 4 years of medical study to become doctors of medicine. This project was established in 2018 by Wang Chun, the president of the university and vice president of the Chinese Academy of Engineering. Wang Chun expressed his original intention for this project in an interview.
We have selected the most outstanding, helpful, morally upright, and willing students from the world's top universities to participate in this 4+4 program. These students will become the dream team of Chinese medicine in the future.
Wang said he wanted the best students to become doctors via this project. But when we look at the background of Dong Xieying, her undergraduate degree is economics. Yes, economics. If a person who studied economics changes his career to study medicine, does he have any learning foundation? In China, a normal medical student needs to complete 5 years of undergraduate study, 3 years of residency, and 3 years of specialist study, a total of 11 years of knowledge and experience accumulation before becoming a formal doctor. 4 years of medical study is really too short. Of course, I admit that some people are naturally smart, and maybe 4 years is enough for them. So let's look directly at Dong's doctoral dissertation. Her doctoral thesis was around 60 pages long, less than the content of a research master's degree. Some netizens in the medical field questioned the plagiarism issue, thought Dong only wrote the acknowledgements section of the dissertation. But when netizens wanted to study Dong's thesis carefully, it was mysteriously removed from China's most authoritative academic platform, CNKI. Individuals do not have the right to delete their own papers on CNKI. So CNKI was notified by someone to urgently remove this thesis. This is a secret operation without any explanation. This move aroused greater anger of Chinese netizens. They continued to dig and found that Dong's parents and relatives all held high positions and were very powerful. Her father is the deputy secretary of the party committee, general manager and director of China Metallurgical Construction Research Institute Company. Her mother is the vice president of the Institute of Engineering Technology of Beijing University of Science and Technology. Her doctoral thesis supervisor is an academician of the Chinese Academy of Engineering. This is clearly the privileged class playing with the rules for their own children, using connections to break the so-called justice. Dong's medical ability was very low, but through his parents' connections, she easily crushed other medical students and entered the famous Peking Union Medical College Hospital. You might think that the Chinese government would crack down on the problem severely under the huge pressure from public. But it didn't. It just announced to send an investigation team to China-Japan Friendship Hospital, expelled Xiao Fei and several related personnel. As for Dong, she was quickly transferred to the Cancer Hospital of the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences to continue her training as a resident physician. Then, Chinese government began to control online opinion, restrict discussion on the issue, and delete comments that should not appear. That's the tradition of CCP to deal with the problem of the privileged class. When people gradually forget about it, they will announce the results of the investigation and remove several related staffs. That's their SOP. They will never dare to have any involvement with those who entered the 4+4 project through family influence. Why? First, if they investigate deeply, they might uncover many connections of interest, which would make the privileged class fight them to the death. Second, they're also one of them. Under China's one-party political system, this kind of investigation is just an investigation of oneself. No one of privileged class will stand on the side of the public and uphold fairness and justice. By the way, it's reported that after Wang Qin was elected as the president of Peking Union Medical College Hospital, he immediately launched the 4+4 project. The darkness of this project, you can imagine. Next is from China Tobacco Corporation's call for papers. June 2022, an article titled Inheritance and Care by 3 Generations of Tobacco People was published in Hunan Daily. The main content of this article is to praise the dedication of 3 generations of grandparents and grandchildren who all work hard in China Tobacco Corporation. As soon as this article was released, it immediately caused an uproar on major social media platforms in China. We all know that cigarettes have high profits. China has hundreds of millions of smokers who support China Tobacco's revenue, directly helping China Tobacco become the company with the highest tax level in China. China Tobacco provides its employees with a generous basic salary and various generous bonuses every year. Working in a tobacco company is relatively easier, which makes China Tobacco a dream company for millions of young Chinese job seekers. However, it's not easy to get into China Tobacco. The competition is extremely fierce. Even if the job applicants pass the written test, they can easily be eliminated in the closed interview by various reasons. Compared with a formal application, there is a shortcut to enter China Tobacco, the internal recommendation. If college students have relatives working in China Tobacco, they can easily enter the company through their relationships, as the HR would provide them with a very suitable position. Gradually, China Tobacco's recruitment seemed to be just a formality, and the vacant positions had already been reserved by the family members of internal personnel. Young Chinese people had long been dissatisfied with this hereditary system of good jobs, and the publication of this call for papers brought their anger to a peak. Some netizens even said that a good job is like AIDS, which can only be transmitted through blood and sex. In order to quell public opinion, China Tobacco issued a regulation that employees' direct relatives within 3 generations are not allowed to apply for jobs at China Tobacco. At the same time, many popular state-owned companies also issued similar instructions to prevent family reunions within the company. Can this change work? Absolutely not. Since the privileged classes cannot allow their children to join the company, they play the job exchange game by sending their children to other companies with high salaries and good benefits. By placing their children in powerful positions in other firms, they effectively create a web of powerful connections that further cements their control over wealth and resources. This job exchange game not only keeps the elite insulated from competition, but also blocks ordinary, qualified individuals from accessing these coveted positions. The last one is about the Forbidden City. January 2020, a young woman named Gao Lu posted photos of herself and another woman on social media. It showed they were posing with a luxury Mercedes SUV inside the Forbidden City in Beijing. Gao Lu also wrote, "Monday is the closed day, so we avoided the crowds and had the entire Forbidden City to ourselves." The Forbidden City is one of the most culturally significant and heavily protected landmarks in China. Vehicles are strictly prohibited from entering the Forbidden City to protect the historic site. In fact, numerous world leaders, including US President Barack Obama and German Chancellor Angela Merkel, were required to disembark from their vehicles and walk through the palace grounds during their official visits. This protocol is intended to show respect for the historic site and maintain its integrity as a cultural and historical monument. Many Chinese are proud of this protocol because they regard the Forbidden City as their national symbol. However, Gao Lu and her companion seem to have obtained special access and were able to drive around the Forbidden City on closed day. You can imagine the huge fury of Chinese netizens. Chinese social media erupted with questioning, accusing Gao Lu of abusing her connections and trampling on cultural heritage. Gao Lu firstly claimed online that there was no problem at all and mocked netizens for being jealous of her. But as the impact of the incident expanded, she hurriedly deleted all her posts on the social platform. Gao Lu's arrogance made netizens extremely angry. They demanded an explanation from the Forbidden City officials and also wanted to investigate where Gao Lu's privileges came from. Soon, the Forbidden City officials issued a formal apology, claiming that the incident occurred during a day when the palace was closed for maintenance, and that the vehicle had been granted access for logistical reasons. Many saw this as a weak excuse, and there was no clear explanation as to how this incident happened. Someone revealed online that Gao Lu was allegedly the granddaughter-in-law of He Chonggong, a prominent revolutionary figure and former high-ranking Communist Party official. Once this news was disclosed, it immediately triggered a strong backlash from the public. The people were already disgusted by the corruption of Communist Party officials, and now they were very disappointed by the behavior of the families of senior officials openly flaunting their privileges. But what good were anger and disappointment? The final result of this incident was that the vice president of the Forbidden City was suspended for investigation, even was not dismissed. As for Gao Lu, she had nothing to worry. She just continued to live her privileged life, mocking the sadness and suffering of ordinary people. Although this incident has passed, it was indeed a heavy blow to many Chinese people. It was yet another painful reminder that in a society where the elite can so easily bypass restrictions, the gap between the powerful and the powerless is as wide as ever. Expecting the privileged class to give up their privileges is a fool's dream. Expecting them to investigate themselves is just as absurd. They're all intertwined, bound together by a vast network of shared interests. When the privileged class consolidates into a powerful force, ordinary people stand no chance of resisting. All they can do is watch as the elite do as they please. Perhaps only when the people are oppressed to the point where they can no longer survive, a force that tears the world apart will break it all. This is the cycle of dynasties in China. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave your comment. This is mindgap. See you in the next video.